Hello and welcome to this KAM webinar looking at attracting and retaining the worker of the future. What I'm going to talk to you about today and the insight that I'm going to share with you is exactly what people who work in hospitality are asking for, what they need in order to be happy within their roles. And let's face it, we all want to be happy in our roles. We know that there is a recruitment crisis on at the moment, and it's not just that we're not attracting enough people, it's that we're not retaining enough people. So I hope that some of the insight that I am here to share today in this short webinar will help you to understand what the people out there want and need in order to join and stay in our wonderful industry. So let's start off by introducing Gen Z, because Gen Z are the generation that is coming into our industry at the moment that is making a difference. And they are the digital natives. They are very different from the generations that have gone before them. And actually, because of that, they have different wants, they have different needs. So to understand what they want from a career, we need to understand what makes them tick. And that's what I'm going to cover in the first few slides of this presentation. The insight that you see here is a summary of over 4 years worth of research focusing on Generation Z that KAM has conducted. If you want to know any more about that, do have a look on our website. We have specific research reports available to you there. So you can see these are the generations that are widely known, and the years change somewhat depending on who you speak to, depending on the sources that you use, but these are broadly true worldwide, not just in the UK. So Gen Z, born mid-1990s to 2010, we're talking they are around 12 to 28 years old at the moment. So you know, it is quite a big area to look at, you know, 12 to 28 years. But generally what we see is what they want from the workplace is quite similar, and is certainly very different from what we hear from millennials and from baby boomers and other generations. We know that digital is their default. It's become a little bit of a cliche, really, to say that Gen Z are technologically savvy and they're digital natives, even though I did just use that description myself. But 1 in 4 Gen Zs, more than 1 in 4, spends more than 7 hours on their phone each day. Now, first of all, you just think that's absolutely bonkers. But then when you start to sort of really look at what they do, they communicate with each other, they watch TV, they watch films, they listen to music, they do research, they read the news, they do their work, they order dinner, they buy coffee. You know, all of these things that they are doing on their phone is not necessarily what they're addicted to, if you could in fact say they're addicted to anything. The phone is actually much more about the facilitator, the item of technology that facilitates everything they want to do. So when we are talking about this generation and we are talking about them applying for jobs, everything that they do within that job application process needs to be absolutely seamless. It needs to be digital and it needs to be mobile enabled. They are not the generation who are in any way happy to look at paper applications, to do anything that they consider to be old-fashioned. So I think it's really important that we understand that, and we understand how they want to communicate with us and how they want to apply for roles. So they also connect with hospitality brands online. So, you know, we say that they may well collect in person, but they connect online. And if you look at the percentage of Gen Zs that are following hospitality brands on each one of these particular social media platforms, you'll see 50% follow a hospitality brand on social media. On Instagram, you've got 34% there for Facebook, 22% for TikTok. Interestingly, Facebook is decreasing, TikTok is increasing. And then you've just got the figures there of the 65 years plus. So there's obviously a difference that won't come as a surprise, but the level of difference is quite dramatic. So we need to make sure as hospitality brands that we're there, that we're talking their language, that we are true and we are honest and we are authentic, because that is where they're going to be looking at us before they even press apply on that job application. They are also leading a revolution in what we consume. So when it comes to Gen Zs, 19% of them are vegetarian. Now that means that 2 in 3 Gen Zs are roughly are meat eaters, and 9 in 10 UK adults. So they really are this revolution of this idea of, I want to be healthier, I want to look after a healthier planet, I want to look after myself, but I still want to have fun, I still want to live my life, I don't want to have to suffer, I don't want to have to be second best. So it's important to think about this and bear this in mind when you're looking at benefits and bonuses, and that's that side of things. Offering them on-shift meals is all very well and good, but what about also making sure that they have those choices of vegetarian and vegan options, that they have those low and no alcohol options as well? They are driven by animal welfare, health welfare, and environmental welfare. So we need to be thinking, when we're looking at benefits packages, we need to be thinking to include all three of those areas for this particular generation. And ethics are a huge driver of brand choice. Authenticity and transparency are absolutely key. You can see from these figures that this particular question was, which of these areas would you consider when looking at a brand? So 55% will say, well, I'll look at the impact they have on my health. 48% will the impact on the environment. And you can read those figures there for yourself. I think the point that we really need to make here is it's not just easy to say, oh, yeah, I care about the environment. I think about how this might affect my customers' health. You've got to live and breathe those values. We used to have, back in the olden days of marketing, this idea of black box marketing, which is you would only see what the brand actually puts out there. Think of campaigns like Gillette's The Best a Man Can Get, for example. We now don't have that. We now have glass boxes, and all of our brands, all of our hospitality brands and grocery brands and fashion brands, etc. If I want to go and work for any of those brands, I can look up so much about them. I can find everything from a Facebook page that complains about how they treat their staff, right the way through to how the chief exec campaigned at the last campaign for which political party at the last election. It's incredibly important that we are asking employees as they come into hospitality, what is important to you? Because if you are not a Gen Z, I can guarantee you that your importances and their importances will be different. And we need to make sure that we are not using a cookie cutter approach, but that actually we are aiming everything specifically towards the type of people that we want to attract. So this is a piece of research that KAM and Limber conducted earlier this year. What is driving job choice for Gen Z? Now, 74% said pay and benefits. And obviously, this is a multiple choice question. 58% fun and enjoyment. Pay and benefits is obviously number one. It always is. I can't see a time, unless something dramatic changes in the standard of living in the UK, where pay and benefits isn't number one. But interesting, fun and enjoyment and flexible working is what's coming out massively in millennials. It doesn't come out quite so high in other demographics. But when we talk about flexible working, do remember that work-life balance, flexible working, etc., all of those buzz phrases mean different things to different people. When we're talking about Gen Z, different locations and different hours. So that flexible hours piece is incredibly important. When we look at younger generations, different roles is also important. So once we get to sort of just the on the cusp of below Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we start to look at the idea that different roles is important. This idea of having almost a portfolio career, something that keeps you interested in the role that you're doing. When we asked, as part of the UK's largest hospitality survey conducted with some of the hospitality superstars at the bottom there, we asked what are the benefits that are most important to them. So on the last slide, we talked about what are the sort of parts of the job role that are important to you. Now it's benefits. Obviously, a fair salary comes out at 84%. I'd love to know who the 16% are, who didn't put that as one of their top three, but also holiday entitlement, that idea that I want to go out and explore the world. I want to make sure that I am not just chained to my desk 365 days a year, bar weekends, that idea that actually I can take a break. And some of that is the physical idea of taking a break, but some of that also plays into this whole new focus on mental health and that idea that 20 days holiday just doesn't cut it anymore. We offer 30 at KAM, plus your birthday off, plus bank holidays, because that means that people can have a little bit of a life outside of their 9-to-5 job. And I think it's incredibly important that we bear that in mind going forward. Bonus and tips, I think that would not come out quite so high in industry other than hospitality, but of course it certainly does in our industry. Training and development sessions. Gen Zs don't want to stand still. They want to continue to learn. They want to continue to develop themselves, and they want to have the ability to move between jobs, between roles, with the right training and the right development. And then we've already discussed flexible hours. So again, just important to have that flexibility as a whole, as an employee, if you're a Gen Z employee. Then once we get Gen Z into roles in the hospitality industry, and we're training them and we're paying them well and we're giving them their tips and bonuses, which may sound silly, but still we have issues with that in the industry. Here are the factors, here are the things that will keep Gen Z in their role. 75% said working with great people. That is higher than any other generation. Working with great people is incredibly important to Gen Zs, because they are aware that they spend more time at their job than they do with their partners or with their flatmates, etc. So they need to be enjoying that experience. Career growth, this goes back to that whole training and development piece, just the idea that I don't want to stagnate in one particular position in one particular company. We know already that a job for life is a distant memory pretty much, but for Gen Z, that's a really good thing. Supportive management and a good manager, let's be honest, how many of us can say that we have left a job because of the person that was managing us? I would say there are very few of us that can't say that. So it's incredibly important for Gen Z that management structure is supportive and well placed to help them along their way. And then exciting work challenges and learning and development. So we're painting a picture here of Gen Zs who want to enjoy their job. They want to be supported in their role by the hierarchical people above them. They want challenges. They want to learn. They want to continue to develop and to grow. We have to remember that being digital natives means that the attention span of this generation is lower than the attention span of the generations gone before it. So in order to keep them interested, we need to have lots of things going on. And if we do that, they will rise to the challenge. But also, it is not all about online, because interestingly, some research that KAM recently conducted with growth partners shows us that access to face-to-face training course is actually still the most important part of learning and development, with 48% saying, yes, this is exactly what I want from my learning and development phase. Obviously, online training courses, they're coming out second at 42%, and then apprenticeships, progression framework, peer-to-peer recognition, but we mustn't ever devalue or undervalue, I should say. We should never undervalue the face-to-face training and what that provides for us. And also, of course, the camaraderie that presents within the team as well. So, again, it's that idea of keeping Gen Z interested. And then talking about having pride in working in hospitality, 2 in 3 Gen Zs are proud to work in hospitality. And you think 2 in 3 are not that great? That is higher than other age groups. So we should be really, really proud of that. And we should be making sure that we continue to facilitate that pride in our industry. So just to summarize and recap, Gen Z, in order to keep them in work or to get them into the industry and to keep them in our industry, digital is default in work and in play. Let's make sure that we are making the entire process of application for and beginning a role as digital and as seamless as possible. Honesty and transparency is critical. We need to speak to them in the way that we would speak to our friends. We need to be saying, look, we have had some challenges and here's what they've looked like and here's what we're going to do to solve them. And that's incredibly important for Gen Z. We also have to look at flexibility. Flexibility is an absolute game changer for this particular demographic, whether that's flexible hours, social hours, flexible location, flexible on roles, that you need to discuss with each individual employee and, look at what is within the means of the company to provide. Top 3 factors for retention: great people, career growth, supportive management. really all should just be a no-brainer. All three of those things we should be offering anyway. But these are the areas we really need to focus in on once we have a Gen Z working in our businesses. And then let's just finish with a real positive, which is the last slide, 2 and 3, proud to work in hospitality and would recommend. And if I was a Gen Z, which I'm not, I would definitely be in that 2 and 3. So understand them, empathize with them, connect with them on the level that they want. And the loyalty that is built there will last a lifetime. And I think that we will see a lot of Gen Zs that join our industry as we are evolving and who stay and really enjoy their career working in hospitality. Thank you very much. If you scan that code, you can get these slides. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this webinar. If you've got any questions, there is my email address. Please do drop me a line. Thank you.